Okay, welcome to tonight's live grade. Sorry for starting this so much later than usual. I ran into some technical difficulties, and this was as quickly as I could solve them. But thankfully, they seem to be resolved. So now let's go. Okay, so the first card up for tonight is the Shohei OHTANI 2018 Topps Chrome Freshman Flash. Nice card. This card does not have any defined centering points, no measurable borders, and so therefore it is it passes and is gem mint eligible. Okay, so here we go. All right, so this card, I'll start by inspecting using a 10x magnifying glass. Start with the corners. Start from the corners, run down through the edges. Looking for any thickness issues, any flaring, or any damage to the corner and edges at the same time. Okay, so these corners are good. This is has 4 sharp corners. Okay, so let's inspect the surface. There appears to be some surface irregularities across it. We'll look at that closer, and it looks like a minor scratch over here. That's okay. So let's look at this with the magnifying glass. There's a minor surface irregularity at the top right, and another one also at the top right, unless that's dust. Yeah, just a little bit of dust. Okay, so let's continue over the card. There's a minor surface irregularity in this area, still top right. We'll look at these together with the fixed magnifying glass after I'm through inspecting with the with my handheld magnifying glass. There's another little bit of scratches or surface irregularities here, and looks like another surface irregularity. Okay, all right, over here is that minor scratch. Just check here, and there's a few surface irregularities. This is not the cleanest card. It does not look bad, especially from here, but under magnification it does show quite a few indications. Okay, so that was with the light on. Let's do the same thing with the light off. Same surface conditions seem to be showing. Nothing new. And underneath my thumb as well. Okay, nothing there. Okay, so let's look at these minor issues together. There's a good amount of them. So let's slap this on. Okay, so again, this is a 10x magnifying glass, just like I'm using for my inspection. However, it's fixed. Makes it easier to show you on the camera. So here we go at the top right corner of the card. Get that into focus. Okay. So right about there. In that area, it's a little surface irregularity. And just beneath it, there's another another one, maybe a little scratch. Okay, and then here's a funny shaped one. So another surface irregularity, maybe like a watermark or something. It's right across from his shoulder. See how that, or from the number 17. See how well I can get this to show there. Looks a little loopy. That's, see, very minor. It's really tough to see. Just a minor surface condition. Okay. Down here as well, there's a few surface irregularities. Okay. There you can see it hit. I'm reluctant to call them scratches. They don't appear to be deep enough. It's maybe minor scratches. I'll stick with surface irregularities. Okay, and then down here, let's look at this one that is a minor scratch. Stands out more than the rest. Let's see, line my thumb up. There we go. Minor scratch. It's not really easily visible, although it's mostly visible. And then right here is three little surface irregularities next to his body. There we go. Very minor. See a lot of little tiny minor things on this card. And the one more obvious but minor scratch. Okay, so let's inspect the back of this card again, or now. All right. Okay, so again, I'm going to relook at these corners. And edges from the back. See if anything stands out. Sometimes flares and thickness issues is just a little easier to see from a slightly different angle. Of course, we have to inspect the back of the card as well. So let's do our due diligence and inspect the corners again. Okay, now I'm running across the surface with magnification and the light. Okay. Check underneath my thumb with the light as well. Okay, now let's turn the light off. Back of this card looks nice. Does not appear to have any dimples or issues at all. Okay. All right, so let's review this card. So the front of this card did have a variety of mostly surface indications with the one minor scratch. So let's calculate that out and figure out what the grade of this card is, okay? Okay, this card grades because of the minor issues on this card grades as an 8. It is near mint to mint. All right, let's write that down, and then we'll move on to the next card. Okay, so the next card up, we have Mike Trout. This is Panini 2020 Panini Prism Instant Impact. Maybe a teal refractor. Pretty cool shape. Okay, so this card does not have defined centering points. This is very different shapes. Waves, it looks like waves across it with this color scheme. So this card gets a pass and passes and is gem mint eligible. Okay. Card looks very clean. Appears to be at least one dimple. All right, so let's get to inspecting this card. Okay, again, so I'll take the 10x magnifying glass and check the corners and through the edges. First two corners looked nice. No thickness issues on the edges. No corner damage at all. Okay, so 4 sharp corners, very nice. All right, so now let's scan the surface again with the 10x magnifying glass. Shifting the light across it. Decided to move my thumb early. Okay. There's that minor dimple down between his feet. Check here. To be a minor dimple on the surface, bottom right near the edge. Minor dimple. All right, and let's do the same thing with the light off. See if anything of note stands out. Nothing else so far. That's great. Check underneath my thumb again. All right, so let's look at those 2 minor dimples on the card. So the one is right between his feet. There, it's in the circle of light right now. See if we can get a little closer, maybe. See how the focus works. Yeah, it looks about the same. Okay, and then right on this edge, just a little bit, maybe it was handled just a little bit roughly or cut just a little deeper than it should have. You can see that as it dimples as it comes across right about by my finger there. So it's another surface dimple, very minor, hardly noticeable at all. I didn't notice it when I did the edges. It did take the surface to do so. Okay, so let's inspect the back of this card now. Looks like a little bit of dust. And we won't. We're not going to clean your cards if they are submitted, but it is expected that a small amount of dust can get on a card from transit, from being in the penny sleeve. It's well protected. It's just sometimes dust sticks. So we'll blow it off carefully, treating your cards with the care they deserve, but also not, altering the condition of your card. If we had a very dirty card sent to us, that we would detract for that immediately. Okay, so the corners looked good from the back and the edges, and the surface looked good with the light on. Okay, so there's no issues of note on the back of this card. Okay, so let's review this card. It's a really nice card. One thing, this card did have just those two minor dimples on the front. Very minor, not a significant damage. So because of that, this card grades as a Gem Mint 10. Yeah, I can't get the light to give the refractor justice. Looks much nicer in person, actually. Instant impact. Kind of a unique color as well. Okay, let's record that. Move on to the next card. Okay, so we have the next card up is GIANNIS Antetokounmpo. Giannis. Sorry for butchering the last name. This is the 2021 Panini Prism widescreen. Okay, so this card is similar to the last card, is a horizontal card, and is we can center it left to right. Okay. So let me pull up the digital caliper. Okay, 0. Let's get in there. Okay. Sorry, it's boring while I'm measuring. Trying to get it just right. This hits at a point, as they're not horizontal to each other. They are mirrored. 1694. Okay, let's plug that in. Okay. Sure, it's zeroed. measuring from the same points. Oh, sorry. Do not mean to bump you. Okay, 1669. Wow, that is a 50-50 centering. That's, I mean, visually, it lines up very nice. And as you can see, our number, it's near perfect. Okay, we'll grade the rest of this card and then have to give this a look. Maybe this will be a special card for our live grade. That would be nice. Okay. So at first glance, there does not appear to be any issues, just a little bit of dust. Okay, just giving this a once over. Possibly a surface condition there. Okay, so let's we'll look at that in a second. Let's actually get to inspecting this card. This card being gem mint eligible or better. I wanted to give it a glance to see if anything stood out. Many times there's an issue that's fairly obvious even without magnification, even if it's minor. Okay, so let's start with the corners and the edges. Very nice. Nothing for sharp corners, no thickness issues. Okay, I went over the surface. I'm checking under my thumb. Okay, now let's turn the light off. See if anything stands out. And underneath my thumb as well. No, nothing. Very clean. This card is excellent, is in excellent condition. Okay, so let's inspect the back of this card. Sorry, excuse me. Oh, all right. Just a moment. I'll be safely put this down. Just Just get another pair of gloves. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, let's get back to this card, Giannis. Okay, again, we'll start with the corners down through the edges. See if anything stands out. Okay, no. All right, so let's check the surface. Okay, it's nothing. Let's check underneath my thumb. Light on, light off. No, okay, so this card had no issues whatsoever. There's one more step I'll have to complete with this card now, just to verify. This card is right now eligible to be flawless. Just have to double check our back, the standard on the back. This is very exciting. This will be one of the first few flawless cards that I have seen, and the first flawless card to be done live. As long as the centering lines up within our standard. $15.34. Okay, by 1462. Okay, that is incredible. Yes, this card is. Let's review this card. The centering was 50-50. There was no indications whatsoever on this card. The back centering was 51-49. This card is flawless. This card is a 10F. This is 10 flawless. Wow, I'm excited. That's incredible. So let's get that marked up. Wow. That's a very rare occurrence. We do not have many cards that meet our flawless criteria. Okay, up next is a fun card. We have Ditto VMAX, a Pokemon card. Okay, so there are Pokemon cards to make sure that the centering on the back lines up with the centering to the front. So this is a unique card, ultra rare, I believe, is it that does not have a clearly defined border like most Pokemon cards. So the front will not be measured for gem mint eligibility. However, the back will. Until Pokemon changes their design, the back is always measured critically. Get this light set up a little better. Sorry. Not trying to be in the camera's way. Just want to get a real nice view. Okay, 337. Okay, and that will be by $314. Okay, it's a 52.48 for left right. Okay, top bottom. $353. $340. Okay, so left right is 52.48 and top bottom is 51.49. Very nice centering. Okay, so this card is Gem Mint eligible. Okay, so let's see if there's any obvious indications on this card. It's a pretty nice design. A foil card. Looks to be in very good shape. 2021 Pokemon card, so pretty new. Okay, so let's get to inspecting. So I'll start off with the corners. Of course, the corners are designed to be rounded, so there can still be corner damage. Flares and delaminations tend to happen quite a bit. How the card is built, multiple layers. They can easily peel apart. If that peeling happens at the corner, it is a flare. Thickness issue at the corner. This card is in very good shape. No thickness issues across this card. And no flaring. Okay, so now let's inspect the surface. The corners are, I guess, sharp. I don't know if that's the appropriate language, but they look very clean. Interesting design. Waves. They look almost like a fingerprint Pretty cool, but I don't see any issues. There's no dimpling or scratches. That's with the light on. Okay, let's turn the light off. See if something stands out. Appears to be a minor dimple right there on his belly, I guess. It's above the F and S in transform. Wow. Okay. Let's look at that under with the fixed magnifying glass. Okay, so this was the only minor dimple that I noticed. It's extremely minor. This card is very clean, very nice. It's in very good shape. Let's see how the light hits it. Not quite. There we go. You can see in the little curvature straight above the between the F and the S, beneath that little hash of light. That is a very, very minor dimple. All right, let's inspect the rear of this card, the back surface. Remember, the centering was very good for this card. Now let's look if there was any damage or indications. It's amazing how much damage a card receives in its pack. Pulling a card, if you do a break or you pull a card right from the pack, how many times there's scratches across it or sometimes corner damage. Centering, I mean, you can kind of understand it happened at the factory, but then I guess the card does go through transit, and that's why it can be very difficult getting a high grade. A lot of things out of your control, not just your own handling, but every person along the way, their handling affects your card. Okay, so let's review this card. The centering on the back of this card was very nice. There was only the one very minor dimple on the front. So because of that, this card grades as a Gem Mint 10. Nice Ditto. Ditto Ultra Rare. Okay, so next up, we have a series of cards that was asked to be graded live together. Just reveal them. They're in the title. These hologram cards. This is unique to us live grading as well. We do offer, if a card has been miscut or the centering is so much off that it can be requested, the cards are graded as error cards. This does, however, mean that the max grade an error card will receive for this situation would be a 7. So these 3 of this set will be graded as error cards. I will not be checking the centering as requested by the customer. But the first 2, they asked us to not grade them as error cards. I have no clue the condition of these cards. I was led to believe that they may not be in the best condition, but it was the person wanted to have them all graded together, maybe for sentimental reasons, but we'll happily do that. Okay, so this is a pretty neat hologram. I don't know how well it's going to show up through the camera. I'll have to move it quite a bit, but it does have, similar to many other Marvel cards, this is 1991 Marvel Spider-Man. It's a 1991 Impel Marvel. And this is the entire set of hologram cards. Okay, that's why they wanted to grade all of them. Okay, so they do have the a defined left and right border. However, top and bottom is not measurable with the different badges. With the so left and right will be measured. We do grade all types of cards. Marvel cards, of course, baseball cards. Okay, 384. Okay, and that will be by okay, 284. Okay, this is a 57 43 centering. This is eligible to be a mint 9 with centering criteria. Okay, so let's actually get to inspecting this card. Okay. A little bit of dust, but also quite a few surface conditions on this card. Let's see if we can get Spider-Man to look red. Just hit the light right. It is a pretty interesting hologram, very subtle. Pretty neat rainbow effect. Okay, so let's get to inspecting this card. Start with the corners. I wonder which alternate dimension this Spider-Man came from. I hope if anyone's seen Spider-Man No Way Home, no one spoils it for me. I heard a rumor that there's a few different Spider-Men in the movie. No, of course. You can't miss that. That sounds like it's a lot of fun. I have not had the chance to go see it yet, sadly. Okay, so these corners are actually really great. Corners are sharp, no thickness issues. Okay, so let's look at the surface condition of this card. There's a scratch up here and 2 chips as well. There's a scratch above the Marvel. We're going to look at that all together under the fixed magnifying glass. Then there's a few, I guess, chips across this card. Quite a few little chips. The surface condition actually looks very good, though. Nothing looks deep. We can see a whole array of little scratches here. Okay, so let's turn this light off. See what else becomes apparent with this card. Okay, and then underneath my thumb, just a speckling of some minor surface conditions stuff, issues. Okay, so let's look at this card together. Just that. Okay, the fixed magnifying glass. So here's the most obvious surface condition. Well, maybe not the most obvious. It is an obvious one. It is minor, however, right above the R in Marvel. It's a scratch. Then there's a few surface irregularities up at the top, right by my thumb, and then right there above the P in super. Okay, then across the center of this card, there are a few more. It's minor surface irregularities. Let's see, it's to the S side of Spider-Man. You see they're all just a minor little spattering of surface irregularities. And then down here, a run of minor scratches, several of them though. Card is still in nice shape. Okay, so let's inspect the back of this card. Okay, again, paying special attention to the corners. And the edges. Okay, and inspect the surface. Oh, the back of this card is really, really nice. Oh, there appears to be a minor dimple in the corner of this, the bottom surface here. Let's see if that is a flare, and it is not, but there is a minor dimple, the bottom left. Interesting fact, Peter's parents, Rick and Mary Parker, were U.S. government agents killed by the nefarious Red Skull, according to 1991 continuity. I wonder if that's true today. Rick and Mary Parker. Okay, so let's review this card. So this card, the centering was made this card eligible to be mint. So this card had quite a few little minor issues, surface irregularities, minor scratch, and a whole slew of minor scratches across here, and the one minor dimple on the back. So this card grades as excellent. This card is a 5, excellent. Okay. Okay, so up next to the same Marvel set is Punisher. Okay, this is the second card of the set that is going to be, that they did not request to be an error card. So we will be measuring the centering. Get the light just right. Make sure the caliper is on 0 before I start to measure. Okay, 353. And that will be let's get the light just right. Measure this opposite border. Very difficult. Okay. Hey, 328. All right, nice. This card has a 5248 centering. That means this card is Gem Mint eligible. Let's see how the rest of the card looks. There's a few minor surface defects in this card. Although actually nothing does not stand out nearly as much as the previous. Okay, so let's get to inspecting. Starting with the corners. Down through the edges. To reinspect that corner just a moment. All three other corners look excellent. Let's be sure about this one. The foil is depressed a little bit. Just a minor dimple. But there's no excess thickness issue. Corner itself is sharp and does not become thick. Okay, so that's just a minor dimple on the surface. All right, so let's start inspecting the surface with the 10x magnifying glass, light on. Two minor scratches near the top. Another minor surface irregularity, a minor dimple. Another minor scratch. And another minor dimple. All right, so let's look at this. So let's look at this with the light off. Another scratch on his leg. Okay. A minor dimple right in the center of the card. Okay, so let's look at those issues together. Quite a few minor issues on this card, although as you can see from there that nothing is there's no major detraction from eye appeal. Okay, so let's look together. The first one is this little two small scratches near the top. Okay. And a small surface irregularity along next to this edge, little white spot. A dimple in the middle right next to my finger, so you can see it has depth to it, that little shape. Okay, and another minor dimple right in the center of the card. Okay, there was then a couple of minor scratches. So next to each thumb, there are three. This thumb has one right there, and then there's two there and there. Let's see how they stand out in this light. All right, let's see how this looks. Might just be too much glare. Might not be enough light, but we'll see. This hologram surface is difficult to catch the light just right to see the scratches. There's one scratch near his leg. Okay, 3 minor scratches right there. And then there's one more minor scratch here. Right next to my thumb. Okay. All right, so the front of this card did have quite a few little minor imperfections. Let's inspect the back of this card. Okay, running across the edges and the corners. Looked fine from the back. There was one other thing I wanted to show you on the front. We'll look at that together. A minor print error down at the bottom. Okay, so that was the rear of the card. Let's look at that minor print error. That's very common in older cards. Just a minor print error. Does not detract much from eye appeal, especially the location. Okay, just the last little thing, the corner that I thought may have been flared. Just a moment. Let's find it. It's just a dimple on the surface. Okay, so this surface, it's nice to see this as well, that it did not flare. So this corner, as you can see, has a slight depression to it. Minor dimple. But as we turn the corner, let's get the focus just right. As I turn the corner, you can see there is no thickness issue. Keeps adjusting focus on me. Stays clean across the whole edge. Okay, so let's review this card. This card was in very nice shape for the type of card that it is. The centering was very good. It only had a few issues, so let's calculate this up. This card grades, so because of those issues with the minor dimple and the minor scratches, this card grades as a near mint 7. This is an OG near mint 7. Okay, let's record that. Then we'll move on to the next card. Now, the next sets of cards was requested to be graded as error cards. Again, as I stated prior, that is request that is you're eligible to make. If a card has been skewed or cut funny, you can request it be graded as an error card, and that will be listed on the label. And of course, the reason for the error will be in the description at oggrading.com underneath the serial number. And the max grade that a card that is an error card for that reason is a 7. Of course, that is different from if there's an error like the Frank Thomas Tiffany card where they didn't put his name on it. That's a different type of error. And of course, there's no detraction from that. But in this case, this is an error card because we are not measuring the centering. Okay. See. So this card is 7 near mint eligible. It looks very clean. This is probably a good call by the customer. Pretty cool design. Fantastic Four versus Mole Man. All right, so let's start by inspecting the corners. Running down through the edges. Okay, so from the front, these corners look good. Okay, let's start inspecting the surface. Minor scratch. Here on the right. No, that's the design. Black lines. There, that's fine. Minor surface irregularity, bottom right. Let's check underneath my thumb. Minor dimple. Okay, that's with the light on. Now let's scan with the light off. Wow. Okay, so this card only has two surface issues that I can see on this card. Okay. So down here at this bottom corner, there's a surface irregularity. I think it's pretty visible. And there's a minor dimple right there. There, you can see that hit the light. Funny. Okay. Let's inspect the back of this card. Corners look nice. Let me just double check this one. It looks good. Under 10x, it still looks sharp, which is our criteria. Okay, so light on, inspecting the back of the card, the back surface, underneath my thumb. Okay, now with the light off. Very nice. Okay, wow. Okay, so this error card, Fantastic Four versus Mole Man, only had 2 minor surface issues. And this is an error card. So the max this card will be is a 7 near mint. And this card grades as a 7 near mint. It's a shame the centering is so far off. The surface condition of this card is excellent. But that's how cards are. Okay, the next card up, the next error card is 1991 Marvel Impel Hulk. See if you can even see him. The fist is coming right at you. Okay, so this again is another error card. So the max grade that this will be is a near mint 7. Okay. Interesting hologram. Putting the fist at a different layer, punching right through the card. Pretty cool design. And just the right light, he actually looks green. Okay, so let's start with the corners. Okay, this corner is slightly soft. Does not appear flared, however. Corner's good. No thickness issues. Okay, so let's look at that corner before we move on, just so you can see the slight softness to it. Excuse me. So this top corner, when I say slightly soft, if you're not familiar with what I mean, is that it does not come to a perfect 90. It looks very nice, but there's just a slight little bit of I hate to use the term roundness to it, but it's not, does not come to a perfect peak. It's not rounding, but it is just slightly soft, as opposed to even this corner on the opposite side. You can see it comes to a very sharp 90. So that's what I'm referring to when I say it has a sharp corner. There may be other things to look at as well, like flaring and hairiness, if something is excessively hairy. But this corner is slightly soft in that it is not a true 90. Okay, so let's start inspecting the surface. Yeah, there's a minor surface irregularities over here and a minor scratch. That's pretty long to be minor. That's more of an intermediate scratch. We'll look at that together. It's not very deep, but it is visible in all angles, and it's kind of long. I don't feel it's significant, but I do think it's more than minor. And there's a minor scratch down here. Okay, there's a minor surface irregularity up here as well. Okay, sorry for jumping around. Okay, so let's look at those. Let's check under my thumb. Nothing. Okay, pretty clean. Okay, so let's see here. Minor surface irregularity up here by his back shoulder. You can see right above my thumb the little circle. Okay, then there's a small spattering of surface irregularity here, just across this whole side. It's not major. They don't really stand out very much, but you can see that scratch. It's right near his fist. Definitely is where you look at this card. So that is an intermediate scratch. Let's get a better angle on it. I think it's more easily seen without magnification, maybe. Lay it down on it. There we go. Okay, let's look at this other scratch. Oh, magnification. Down here. There we go. It's amazing. These, just I guess because of the color of the foil, they do not translate so well over the camera. That's a minor scratch. Okay, let's inspect the rear of this card. The back side. The rear surface. All right, again, I'm going to run across the corners. There, you can see the slightly soft corner that I pointed out from the front. It looks slightly soft from the back. Thickness of this card looks good. Okay, no noticeable issues on this card. There's a minor on this edge, this surface on this edge. There's a minor thickness issue. Looks like a little tiny dent happened at the edge. So a very minor detraction. All right, so let's review this card. This card had a few surface issues. With the slightly soft corner, but the most detrimental aspect of this card was that it's centering. And again, this card is an error card. None of the surface issues add up to more than the maximum allowable error designation. So this card grades as a near mint 7. Okay. Now for the last card of the evening, or the day. Okay, this is also requested to be an error card. This is Dr. Doom, Super Villain, 1991, Marvel Impel hologram. This is a pretty cool hologram. You can make out a person behind him. And you can see the slight color change of his costume. Dr. Doom. Okay, so this card, being an error card, will be a maximum grade of a near mint 7. Go. Okay, so let's start with inspecting the corners. And running down through the edges. Okay, so far this corners are sharp. Okay. Nope. Okay, so there is some stuff stuck to the surface. Corners were good. Okay, so now let's inspect the surface. Minor scratch up in this corner, or up in this top right surface. Minor surface irregularity, like a little piece of gunk that's stuck to them. Probably not safe to even try to remove, if that's why they sent it to us that way. foil cards tend to be very sensitive, so I understand. Another minor scratch and minor surface irregularity across here. Minor dimple in the back on the figure that's behind him. Okay, that's the light on. Now let's run with the light off. Double check under my thumb. Okay, so let's look at those issues together. They are all mild. This card actually looks very good. So there's a minor scratch up here on the word villains. You can see that, I think. Okay. Then there's a dimple. That's pretty cool. She fades away. Let's get this in focus. Minor dimple there, and then the surface irregularity right in the center at his waist. Well, beneath his waist. Okay. Then there's also minor surface irregularities across here and one minor scratch. It remains in focus. Okay. All right. So that's the front of this card is actually in very good shape, but with quite a few minor issues. All right. Let's inspect the back of the card. Okay. Let's start with the corners again. Running down through the edges. Very nice. Okay, now the back surface. Looks good with the light on. Now my light off. Okay, the back of this card is perfect. All right, so let's review this card. This card was requested to be an error card, and therefore the max grade this card can receive is a 7. This did have several minor surface issues. And this card will receive the max grade possible for an error card because of those surface issues do not add up to more than that of a 7. So this card grades as a near mint 7. They'll be slabbed up as the set. Pretty cool. I guess I understand wanting to send it. This was all H Spider-Man, Hulk, Punisher, Doctor Doom, and the Fantastic Four versus Mole Man. So this set will be slabbed from 1991 Marvel Impel hologram cards. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me today. I had a great time doing this. Looks like we had a few different kinds of cards Pokemon card. We had a flawless card tonight. That was a lot of fun. I was definitely very excited about that. So thank you guys so much for joining me. Please visit us at oggrading.com and like and subscribe. Comment down below. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you so much. Good night.